Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Mackailyn Johnson. Here's a look at the stories we're following this Wednesday, now at noon. School safety upgrades are underway in Arkansas schools. The guidance from the School Safety Commission now being implemented, and the group's stunning new recommendations just approved.
A late-night DOJ filing reveals new details about the investigation into former President Trump's handling of classified material. I'm Natalie Brand. How it signals a possible case of obstruction.
And it's been 25 years since the death of Princess Diana. How she's being remembered today, just ahead. But first, let's check in with meteorologist Scott Covert. Scott, I think people are really ready for fall. Do we have any sign of that at all?
No immediate sign of fall. However, as you and I are speaking here this afternoon, we are starting to see some improvements. What's happening is we've got some drier air funneling into the natural state behind a front that moved through. So while it's still going to be hot today, it's not going to be hot and humid. Temperatures across the state look like this. Many of us already into those upper 80s, low 90s. It's 89 in the capital city, up to 91 today in Pine Bluff. Dew points starting to fall, especially there in northern Arkansas. Not significantly, but enough to make a difference. It will feel a bit more tolerable outside, not just today, but over the next couple of days as we enjoy a break from all that tropical humidity. Do have a fair number of high clouds out there, giving us partly cloudy skies across the state. Your forecast for this Wednesday takes us to 94 degrees. Yes, very hot. However, with less humidity, it's not going to be that bad. In fact, a pretty nice day overall. The question becomes, how long does this lower humidity hang around? I'll have a look at that for you coming up in your extended forecast.
Thanks, Scott. And happening now, Pulaski County and Arkansas Association of Counties are addressing crime and more in Central Arkansas. Prior to this presentation, leaders sent an open letter to lawmakers inviting them to attend and help make a change. Judge Barry Hyde and others sent this open letter inviting Pulaski County state reps and senators to the presentation today. The letter starts off with a call for help. The group writing that the crime rise in Central Arkansas and threats to Arkansans' public well-being and safety are simply unacceptable, saying, quote, "We need immediate action from the state of Arkansas and we need your help." Key points at the presentation are crime and prison overcrowding. The group is also asking lawmakers to consider Governor Asa Hutchinson's proposal to pay higher salaries for state prosecutors and public defenders and fund more crisis stabilization units. THV 11's Ian Russell will have more in today's meeting at 5 and 6. Well, you can now add body armor and shields to the list of recommendations from the Arkansas School Safety Commission. Yesterday, it approved 8 new recommendations for districts across the state. Here's a list of those new recommendations. In addition to body armor, it includes school resource officers having access to a ballistic helmet and shield. During yesterday's meeting, Washington County Sheriff and Commission member Tim Helder said it's all needed if assault rifles are used in a school shooting. Also on the list, forcible entry tools, a medical first aid trauma kit, a Grandmaster key system with that key going to local law enforcement, shatter-resistant film for classroom windows, and FEMA-approved emergency team training in high schools so students can deliver immediate assistance to victims before emergency help arrives. The School Safety Commission continues to work on a final report after releasing its interim report to the governor last month. They'll meet again next Tuesday. Now in national news, President Biden is now approving an emergency declaration for Mississippi amid a water crisis in the capital of Jackson. Now the mayor of Jackson says the water system has been in crisis for years and blames the breakdown on staffing shortages and maintenance that's been put off for way too long. Bradley Blackburn has the very latest.
180,000 people in Jackson, Mississippi are facing a water crisis. The state's capital has been under a boil water notice since July 29th. Now residents have low water pressure after flooding caused problems at a treatment plant.
Please do not drink the water.
Governor Tate Reeves says a pump is being brought in on Wednesday to increase pressure, but the problems won't be solved overnight.
Things are not significantly worse today than they were yesterday. They're not significantly better.
The low pressure means there is not enough water to fight fires or for people to shower or flush toilets. schools have gone back to remote learning.
This is a catastrophic failure.
Andy Nessenson is worried his restaurant won't survive.
It's almost like you want to throw your hands up and give up, but you can't, because you've got 90 employees that depend on you to make sure that they've got money in their accounts so they can feed their families.
Stores throughout the city are sold out of bottled water.
Hey, how you doing? What do you want?
Residents lined up for miles just to get one case.
It affects quality of life, especially for someone like me. I have major health problems.
Jackson's mayor hopes this crisis is the tipping point for changes to the system.
This is a set of accumulated problems based on deferred maintenance that has not taken place over decades.
More than 100 semi-trucks with water are expected to arrive in the city this week. Danya Backus, CBS News.
The world is remembering the last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, who has died at the age of 91. Gorbachev notably helped end the Cold War and introduce reforms that ultimately led to the breakup of the Soviet state. Born into a farming family in the Soviet Union in 1931, Gorbachev went to Moscow to study law and join the Communist Party. Gorbachev went on to win a Nobel Peace Prize winner and was the youngest ever Secretary General of his party. NASA's new moon rocket is scheduled to blast off again this weekend. The Artemis 1 test flight was initially scheduled to launch Monday from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, but experienced some major hiccups. The space agency was forced to scrub the first launch attempt Monday after encountering a leak and running into engine issues.
This is a brand new rocket. It's not going to fly until it's ready.
The unmanned rocket, the most powerful in NASA's history, is a critical mission for the space agency as it attempts to put astronauts back on the lunar surface as soon as 2025. Now, the last time an astronaut was on the moon was back in 1972. Through Artemis missions, NASA is hoping to land the first woman and the first person of color on the lunar surface. A Trump-appointed federal judge will hold a hearing tomorrow to determine if whether former President Donald Trump's request to have an attorney or special master to review documents seized at his Florida residence this month will be granted. But the Department of Justice filed a response overnight, forcefully pushing back against the request. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington.
The Department of Justice released this photo showing classified documents recovered from former President Trump's office in his Florida residence. They were included in a revealing midnight court filing in which the DOJ says it developed evidence that government records were likely concealed and removed from the storage room and that efforts were likely taken to obstruct the government's investigation.
Sure seems like outright dishonesty in resisting giving back documents that were just never his in the first place.
A Trump attorney signed a statement in June claiming that all classified material at the Mar-a-Lago estate had been returned. But the DOJ says it seized over 100 unique documents with classification markings. That is more than twice the amount produced on June 3, 2022 in response to the grand jury subpoena. The Justice Department's new filing comes ahead of a hearing on Thursday over the former president's motion to have an independent attorney or special master review the material seized from his Florida home.
I cannot see her granting the one thing that he wants and the one thing that would really derail the case.
My father-in-law has said that he has declassified, or he did declassify as president, everything that he took from the Oval Office, that he had a right to have all the documents that he took.
But the Justice Department argues Trump representatives didn't assert that he declassified the documents when they returned some of them in June and say the presidential records do not belong to him. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
THV 11 has learned that Trump's legal team has brought on a new lawyer to help fight the case. Former Florida Solicitor General Chris Kise has successfully argued cases in the past before the U.S. Supreme Court. THV11 is committed to covering the opioid epidemic with our ongoing series, Saving a Generation. Today is International Overdose Awareness Day, a time to remember those lost to a drug overdose. It's also a good time to reduce stigmas and prevent future deaths. Overdose deaths have skyrocketed in recent years. The CDC tracked more than 107,000 drug overdose deaths in the U.S. last year. The COVID-19 pandemic made the opioid epidemic even worse, and it continues to impact the lives of many Arkansans. Now, the Clinton Presidential Library Park Bridge in Little Rock will be the site for this year's Bridge the Gap event. It starts tonight at 6:45. Arkansans who have lost someone from an overdose will join together with those in recovery to stand united on the bridge. The river bridges in downtown will then be lit purple at sunset in honor of the Overdose Awareness Day. 25 years ago, the woman dubbed the People's Princess died in a tragic car accident. After the break, how she's being remembered today. Scott?
It's a pretty warm day. We got partly cloudy skies out there, but the dew points are falling. That means it's going to become less humid for many of us over the next couple of days, giving us some nice weather to enjoy. But how long can we enjoy it heading into that Labor Day weekend? Details on your forecast coming right up.